Greetings everyone. In today's video we're going to be discussing the exclusive tenant brokerage agreement for commercial properties. Now this specific agreement is for working with tenants. It's an exclusive agreement for you as an agent to be working with a potential tenant that's looking to lease a commercial space. And this contract particularly pertains to commercial assets. So you don't really want to be using this for residential purposes. It's mainly for working with a tenant. And you could use this, and there's different contracts that you could use, but this one is pretty good for an exclusive tenant brokerage agreement if you have a potential customer or client that is looking to lease a commercial space and you're going to be searching for a space with them. You could use this agreement to protect your interests as well as have a binding relationship between you and the potential tenant. Now before we begin, like always, we take a quick minute before we start our videos to discuss about our brokerage as Nizz Realty Inc. We are licensed in the entire state of Florida. We're a 100% real estate commission brokerage, meaning that we pay all of our agents 100% of their commission. Our website, nizzrealty.com, has access to the market throughout the entire state of Florida, not just one specific region, and we generate a tremendous amount of seller leads, buyer leads, rental leads, commercial leads. We have a home evaluator tool on our website, which seller leads can use to come in here and find a home estimate for their home, and we generate a lot of leads that way that we distribute to all of our agents. More information about our brokerage can be found on our Join Our Firm page. You could go to nizzrealty.com, come here, and it discusses a lot of information about our plans, what we offer, all the technology that we provide, how our 100% commission works. Most of our agents are experienced, but we do welcome new agents that are interested in learning about our business model and how we do things. We have plans such as the annual plan with $0 monthly payments, so there's no monthly fees. So if you're interested in learning more about our brokerage, there's more on our website here, nizzrealty.com, and what we provide. And if you'd like, we offer free confidential consultations. Give us a call or toll-free number anytime. But enough about Nizz Realty. Let's talk about today's contract and video. It's probably why you're here. So let's get straight into it and start filling it out. It's not too complicated, but as always, if you come to my channel, I'm going to teach you how to fill out these documents correctly and accurately. So you put the tenant's name up here. The tenant could be one person, multiple people. It could be a company name. You put that information here under tenant. So if it's one or two people, you could put, like, let's just say it's Billy Bob and John Doe. You just put something like this, simple enough, of the individuals here. Let's say today Billy Bob is going to be our tenant that we're working with. Broker. The next section here, you put the office name here. So if you're a member of our brokerage, you put the full company name here, Nizz Realty Inc. You don't put your name here. What you can do is you could put a parentheses and let's just say John Doe as sales associate. You could put that there just to specify that you are the agent, a part of the company that you're working with this individual. That is acceptable, but you do need to put your brokerage name here. That is the whole purpose of this paragraph, as the broker. You can't just put you as the agent. It is the brokerage name that you put here. So keep that in mind when filling this out correctly. But writing something like this is acceptable. John Doe as sales associate, but you do need the company name. So make sure you do include that. The term of this agreement, whenever it begins, contracts cannot be longer than a year in the state of Florida. So let's just say you want it to begin and go for a whole year. You do not put like August 1st and have it end on August 1st of 2026. That is incorrect. It needs to end one day prior at 11:59 p.m. So that is the maximum amount of time. It would actually be over a year if you put August 1st, 2026 here. And likewise for any date, you could put the 15th of August and it should expire on the 14th of August next year. And it could be any shorter length than that. You can make it 1 week, 1 month, 1 day, 2 days. Just cannot exceed 1 year. So that is how you fill out the dates for the term. Cannot exceed 1 year, and that's, you do it 1 day prior to end at 11:59 p.m. So that's how that works. Type of property. Now this is particularly for commercial assets, so you could put here warehouse bay, retail space, You could specify whatever you'd like here for what the tenant is looking for. You could also put maybe something like any something like this, any commercial zoned asset in the state of Florida, or you could specify if, the individual you work with is looking for a warehouse bay, you could put that there. If they're looking for a office space, you could put it there. A shopping plaza, retail space, you could put it there, or anything else that they're specifically looking for. You could also generalize it to any commercial asset in the state of Florida, or commercial zoned asset, something similar like this. Location. You could put a specific city, a specific county. Another easy way to do it, you could put the entire state of Florida, just to cover the entire state in all aspects. You could put something like that, or you could specify into a specific city or cities, multiple cities, or a specific county, like Broward County, Orange County, Hillsborough County. You could just put that there as well. The rental rate, whatever the rental rate is. You could an easy way to put it is right off as monthly. Maybe they're looking to spend, let's just say $4,000 a month, or maybe you want to put a range 4,000 to, let's say, 7,000. A monthly rent. So you could put something like this if you want to do a specific range or a specific amount. This is a good way of writing it in a specific range that they're looking for this amount. If you have a tenant that they're looking to spend a certain amount, you don't want to write like typically a really low number, because maybe what they're looking for, they might not be able to find it for like $1,000 a month. It's typically a going rate of $3,000 to $4,000 a month, up to anything higher, 5,000, 8,000. You could put a really high amount here just to cover the threshold. You could also put something like $4,000 or more monthly rent. That could work as well. So, you could play around with this how you'd like, but here's a couple of examples on how to put this here. Preferred terms and conditions. I'm not really going to fill out anything here, but if you have any preferred terms and conditions that you and your tenant want to put together or state quickly in this paragraph, you could put it there. I'm not really going to write anything here, but if something does come up that you want to have any specific terms and conditions, you put it there. If you're a member of our brokerage, you could contact me and we could discuss how you want to put this here. If not, you need to speak to your broker as far as what you want to put here to satisfy whatever terms and conditions you and your tenant want to work out. The next paragraphs are some reading, broker obligations, tenant obligations, nothing to fill out here. I'm not going to discuss it. You could read through it at your own leisure. The next part we do fill out is paragraph 6, retainer. Now, if you are going to charge a retainer fee, this is where you'd fill it out here. Reasons for charging a retainer fee could be you charge an upfront fee because there's a lot of research you have to do, maybe traveling, whatever the case may be. If you're charging an upfront retainer, you would put it here. The amount could be whatever you want. It's whatever you put here and the tenant and you are going to sign and agree upon. It could be $100. It could be $50. It could be $5,000. It's whatever you put here. You just put it there, and then the next part of it will be this fee is non-refundable and will or will not be credited to tenant if compensation is earned by broker. So you check mark, if it's going to be credited to the next paragraph, the compensation or commission that you're going to be collecting, or if it's not going to be credited. If you want to have it credited to the commission when you actually do collect it, you can have it credited to that and reduce it. So let's say your commission was $1,000 and you charge an upfront, or let's say, for example, the commission was $10,000 and you charge this $5,000 upfront, then that $5,000 would be deducted from that $10,000 and they only owe you a $5,000 commission because they paid the other half with the upfront retainer. Or you could check mark over here, will not be credited, and the commission, the compensation amount is completely separate. This upfront retainer is just an upfront retainer for you to do your work, whether it be traveling fee or whatever type of you want to factor it into. It's your upfront retainer fee for the services that you're providing. You don't have to fill this out. You could leave it blank. You could put $0 here just to state that you're not charging anything up front. I've seen it multiple ways. It's more common that I've seen it in the commercial side of business that you'll charge an upfront retainer fee, but that's not always the case. It's really up to you if you're charging an upfront retainer fee between you and your potential tenant and client. So if you're charging a retainer fee, you'll put it here. Let's just say we're going to charge a $1,000 retainer fee, and it will not be credited to the compensation. Now, the next paragraph, purchase or exchange. This would cover, this specific contract is for leases, usually rentals, commercial rentals. But it does have a paragraph here discussing if the actual client does end up purchasing something, you could put the commission amount in here, whether it be a percentage right here of the total purchase price, or it could be a dollar amount, a fixed amount, plus whatever amount here. So it really depends there. Now, if more than likely you're going to be doing a lease, so you'd fill out paragraph B here. So you'd fill out one of these paragraphs and select only one. So you're either filling out this area or you're filling out this area. Now, if you're charging the net aggregate rent, which is typically the amount, but if you're doing something different, you could fill it out in the other paragraph. But let's say you're charging a percentage. You charge, let's say, 5% or 10% of the net aggregate amount. You'd put that here. If you're charging an additional fee, like say like an additional transaction fee or anything like that, maybe your company charged a transaction fee, you fill it out in the next paragraph over here. Let's say you're charging 10% of the net amount plus you put the actual transaction fee here. Let's say the transaction fee is $300. You'd put that there if you're charging an additional fee. So keep that in mind. If you're charging an additional fee on top of whatever, like the percentage or the flat fee amount, let's say you weren't charging the percentage, you were charging a flat fee of, let's say, $10,000. If you're charging an additional fee, like a transaction fee for your company or just any additional fee for whatever reason, you put it here in this amount, in this paragraph, not the first one up here. So a common mistake that I see is, let's say you're charging a $10,000 commission and $300, they'll put like $300 here, and then a percentage, let's say, of 10% over here. This is incorrect. You don't put this like in this paragraph here because this is filled out incorrectly. If you're ever going to have a dispute or a problem, this is going to cause you some problems right here. You want to make sure it's filled out correctly. If you're charging 10%, you put it over here. You're charging an extra fee, you put it over here in this paragraph. This is pretty important. That's why I'm taking the time to go over this. So you need, because we're talking about the money here. You earning your compensation. So this is an important paragraph to fill out correctly. You put it, if it's a flat fee, you put it here. If it's a percentage, you put it over here. And if you're charging an additional fee, you put it here. If you're not charging an additional fee down there, you don't have to fill that section out. You could put it here, or you could put it here, whatever you're charging. But you fill out one or the other here. Same way over here, one or the other. You're either charging a flat fee or you're charging a percentage amount. Now, if you're doing something custom or something very specific, you could click this button right here, see attached custom commission rider. I'm not going to go into how to fill out a custom rider and custom documentation for collecting a commission. That's between you and your brokerage to fill out. If you're a member of our brokerage and you're trying to do this, you could contact me and we'll discuss it and figure it out. There's also another section here to state some other type of compensation situation here. But for the purpose of this video, let's keep it simple. Let's say we're charging 10% plus a $300 transaction fee or an additional fee. 10% of the net aggregate rent amount of the lease and a $300 extra fee. So that's how you'd fill that out. If you have further questions, like I said, about these custom type of commissions or anything like that, it's best to speak to your broker about it. Protection period. Tenant will pay broker's compensation if within blank days after termination, tenant contracts to acquire any property which was called to tenant's attention by broker. So this is pretty important too. You want to fill this in. It could be whatever you want here. 15 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, my professional opinion, you could put whatever you want here. You could put 30 days, 15 days. I usually put 90 to 180 days. I'm going to put 90 for the purposes of this video, but that's typically what I like to do for a protection period, 90 to 180 days. That's just how I like to do it. Doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. You put whatever you want here, but you should have a protection period just in case if you show a property to the tenant and the contract expires, you have this protection period that you showed them that property and introduced them to that property. So if they do end up trying to rent that property at some point, even after this contract expires, you're still entitled to that because of the protection period that you put here. So it's good to put that. Next part of this agreement is the dispute resolution. You could leave this blank, or if you're working in a specific county, you could put the county name here. But this is basically if there's a dispute, you're going to have to go to arbitration, mediation. You could set this in which county it's going to be conducted in, or you could leave it blank, the county where the property is located, if left blank. So you could do that as well if it's about a specific property, or you could just state it in whatever county that's most convenient for both parties. Or wherever y'all want to agree upon, you put it there, and you write the county name that you're gonna be doing any type of mediation, arbitration in. Same with this paragraph down here, discusses arbitration. I recommend initialing this and having a bound between the tenant and the broker authorized associate. In case there's a dispute, you have the arbitration paragraph initialed that you could have it resolved through arbitration. And believe that is it. There's a special clause paragraph. I'm not going to really get into that and what you're doing with special clauses. Speak to your broker if you're looking to do something like that. The rest of it is just basically dating and signing, putting basic information, email addresses. Of course, everyone has to initial every single page down at the bottom. And that's pretty much how you fill out the exclusive tenant brokerage agreement for commercial contracts. Not too complicated. Pretty useful if you're going to be working in the commercial sector and going to be working with a tenant. I'd recommend having some type of documentation, whether it's this document or another type of document that you use to establish a relationship with your tenant. I don't typically recommend just working without any contracts and just working on verbal agreements unless you have a very, very strong rapport with your client. Especially in the commercial sector. If you're a member of any realtor association, as of now, the date of making this video, it's been a while that you do, in the residential space, you have to have a buyer brokerage agreement when working with clients. So it's recommended to have these type of agreements to establish a relationship, because without them, verbal agreements, they only go so far. You want to have a contract in place that protects everyone's interests. Especially you as the agent, because most of the time you're working on commission based. You're not getting paid or anything like that, and you want to avoid having the tenant circumvent you out of the transaction. The last thing you want is to be showing a property or introduce a potential tenant to some properties, and then they just go work with the landlord directly. They get rid of you. You're not owed a commission. You don't have any contracts in place. And there's nothing binding for you to protect you and your commission and all the work that you did in introducing the tenant to that property. But this is just my professional opinion and my experience. You want to protect yourself. You need to proceed at your discretion and how you deem appropriate for your business. I'm just here to show you these specific contracts and videos to let you know that these documents do exist. They can be useful, and this is how you fill them out properly. I hope this was helpful. We'll see you in the next video.